नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. Dear friends, welcome to the study of Mahabharata. Yesterday we saw the story of Panduraja, how that Panduraja became the king, and then he went around and he conquered many kings, and then brought lot of gold, jewels and gifts and whatnot, and he distributed all those to Dhritarashtra and all the people. And Panduraja, we see that he is a very noble character, and he is treating his elder brother very nicely, though the elder brother is not the king. So then now we are seeing the chapter number 114 about Dhritarashtra's children. First, the text is talking about Dhritarashtra's children, and later they will talk about Pandu's children. So right now, Dhritarashtra's children. So it so happened that Dhritarashtra's wife Gandhari, she requested sage Vyasa, she prayed to sage Vyasa. She had earlier done some vratam to Lord Shiva. We have also seen earlier that she had done some vratam to Lord Shiva and then prayed for 100 sons. Again she made the same request to sage Vyasa. Sage Vyasa said, okay, I bless you like that. And she said, I want 100 sons who will be like my own husband. That is, Dhritarashtra is such a strong man. So like him, I want to have such 100 sons. So he said yes. And then over a period of time, she got pregnant, and then she was holding that womb for about 2 years. For about 2 years, she had that garbham, and that delivery didn't take place. And meanwhile, she heard the news that Kunti had given birth to a baby. Of course, we will come to that. We have not yet covered it. The text is going to say it later. So when she was still carrying this garbham, she heard the news that Kunti had given birth to a baby. And Kunti, of course, Kunti and Panduraja, they happened to be in the jungle at that time. He has gone to a forest. We will come to that story now shortly. And out of jealousy, because if Panduraja gets the son first, naturally he is the eldest. Panduraja is right now the king. And also if Panduraja gives, Pandu's wife has got a son now, she is the eldest among all these people. Pandavas, 5 Pandavas and these 100 people. Among all the people, Dharmaraja is the eldest. So he will naturally be the king. So she felt highly jealous. She felt jealous, and then actually better garbham. She just better garbham strongly. Udarasya atmanasthairiam upalabhya anvachintayat. And then you just better garbham. And we know what is called garbhasrava. Garbhasrava means, that fetus coming out. And that was, when the fetus came out, it was in the shape of a huge ball. A huge ball, a very strong, lohashthileva. Lohashthileva means it was so tough, it was such a hard ball-like thing. So then seeing that, sage Vyasa, he came to know of that, and he came to her. Why did you do that? You could have got 100 sons. And then he said, okay, you should have waited, and then you would have got 100 sons. And then he said, okay, sprinkle some water, and then keep this thing. Just sprinkle some water first. So when they sprinkled water, that thing broke into about 100 pieces. That huge ball broke into 100 pieces into small fetuses, 100 small fetuses. So he told her, okay, get 100 vessels, and 100 vessels filled with ghee, and in all those ghee, somewhat like incubation now. So like that, it was kept, the babies were kept in that, and they were allowed to grow for some time. And they were well protected, and they were allowed to grow for some time. And that is how these people, they came out. And she also wanted a daughter. When she also wanted a daughter, okay, Vyasa said, okay, let it be so. So that out of that, one more piece came out, and then she became a daughter. So we have got Dhritarashtra has got 100 sons and a daughter also. Dussala is the name of the daughter. And these people, over a period of time, all these people, they came out. Ghrutapurnam Kundashatam. Ghrutapurnam is the vessels filled with Ghruta. Ghruta is ghee. So then when all these things they incubated over a period of time, then these children came out. The first to come out was, that is our Duryodhana, who is the eldest of all these people. And Janmatastu Pramanena Jyeshtho Raja Yudhishthira. Okay. Then, when this Duryodhana was born, then there were so many bad omens. When Duryodhana was born, the poet describes, Sajatam Rasabhara Vasadrusham Rura Vachananadacha. The baby did not cry normally. He brayed like a donkey, it seems. Rasabha means a donkey. Rasabha Arava Sadrusham. So this boy didn't cry like a baby, normal baby. He cried like he cried like a donkey. He brayed, rather, not cried. He brayed like a donkey. Then the king, naturally, he brought all the soothsayers and whatnot. We know that we have got astrologers. In English, usually the word soothsayer is told. So he called all those astrologers and pundits and all those people. And there were so many bad omens at that time. And all the people, they saw that the time of that man's birth, and then they said, oh, this man is going to cause the doom for this entire Kuru Vamsha. He will be responsible for the destruction of this Kuru Vamsha. And they also went to the extent of, you please leave him, you please send him away, you please reject him and throw him away somewhere. So, and in fact, they say very, very strongly, Tyajed ekam kulasyarthe, gramasyarthe kulam tyajed. That is, Tyajed ekam kulasyarthe. It is a well-known shloka. That shloka comes here. For the sake of protecting one's family, one's kulam is the entire clan, you should be prepared to sacrifice one person. Tyajed ekam. You should be prepared to sacrifice one person in order to protect one kulam, one family or one clan. And Gramasyarthe kulam tyajed. And for the sake of one whole village, you should be able to sacrifice one kulam. And Gramam Janapadasyarthe. For the sake of the entire kingdom, you should be able to sacrifice one village. And Atmarthe Prithivim Tyajed. This is a different line. The Atmarthe means for one's self. Prithivim Tyajed means in order to know what is that Atma, for self-realization. Prithivim Tyajed means one has to give up Prithivi. That means he should give up all desires, and that is what is a very famous shloka. So this is Vidura and other people, they said, no, this man is going to cause the doom of this entire family. But then out of love for naturally Dhritarashtra, just he himself is blind, and he has natural love for the offspring. So he didn't bother for that. And Gandharyam Klishyamanayam. So then what do we see here? We see that right from the time of birth, this Duryodhana, jealousy and rather sort of hatred. Jealousy started from the mother's womb. This is the point we have to see here. Because Kauravas naturally inherited that particular jealousy and anger and those qualities. And this Gandhari's frustration, jealousy, the sons also, they inherit. So that is how this happens. And this daughter again, there is another chapter for the daughter which I skipped. Then again one more chapter for the names of all these Dhritarashtra's sons which I am skipping. Now we come back to Panduraja. And now we are going to see what happens to Panduraja, because we saw earlier that Panduraja was the king, and then he went around, conquered lot many people and all that. And thereafter, when there were no more challengers, he was spending his time in hunting. That is the pastime for not only pastime but addiction for the kings in those days. So now we come to the chapter number 117 of this first volume. Then here, what happens? So one day he was doing hunting, and when he went out, he used to spend a lot of time in the forest. When he was in the forest, he used to take his wives also. So naturally, he took his wives. He was camping. We see that people do camp in the jungles. People, now when the kings they go along with a huge retinue. The king does not go alone or with a small band of people. He goes with a lot many people. There will be cooks and all those people. Suppose the king hunts a deer, immediately there are some cooks who would get that meat and then serve. So naturally all cooks and the entire retinue goes. And of course we have seen that even till recently, big people, landlords, etc., they used to do it in India also. They used to go for hunting, and when hunting goes, it is a huge party. and all people will be there, cooks and whatnot. So this man also went along with his wives. He used to camp there. So at that time it so happened there were the deer, a pair of deer making love. And when the two deer were making love, this man shot both the deer. And that deer, unfortunately, was actually a sage. It was actually a sage. And that sage, a person who was living in the midst of so many people, and probably he did not find the right time to meet his wife. So he, with his tapas shakti, with his tapas, the power of tapas, he and his wife turned into deer, and then they were making love freely in the jungle. Right at that time, this man hit. So then, it is somewhat similar to what we see in Ramayana. In Ramayana also, we find that when Valmiki was just moving on the banks of that Tamasa river, he sees a hunter, and that hunter hits that Krauncha Mithuna Dekam Avadhi Kamamohitam, he says. There was a pair of Krauncha birds, and that hunter hits that male bird, and that male bird falls, and then that female bird starts crying. So that cries of the female bird cause that shoka in the mind of Valmiki, and from that shloka a shloka comes. So that is what we saw in Ramayana. Here also it is somewhat similar, where this man Panduraja has hit that pair, and both are going to die now. So before dying, that sage said, "Why did you hit like this? And don't you know that when animals are okay, it is okay proper for a king to hunt an animal, but then when they are making love, there is a natural dharma is that when they are mating, a person should not kill." But now, of course, there is the point of dharma. There is a discussion about what is dharma and what is not. So the king says, no, it is my dharma. It is not my fault. An animal can be shot by anybody. Animal can be shot by a human being. And then that person, that Muruga, of course, right now he has not revealed his identity. So he says, you may have a right to hit, but then you should not hit. This particular time of mating, you should have compassion. And he says, Sarvabhuta hite kale, sarvabhuta epsite tada. This maithunam means that intercourse is something which every animal likes. You see, the pleasure, the quantum of pleasure which a human being gets during intercourse, even a mosquito also gets the same pleasure. Some other ant also gets the same pleasure. So it is not as though the pleasure of a human being is more and the pleasure of a mosquito is less. So that is what he is saying. Sarvabhuta hite kale, sarvabhuta epsite tada. So that is why there is a shloka also. Ahara nidra bhaya maithunani samanyametat pashubhir naranam. That is, ahara is food, nidra is sleep, bhaya the sense of fear, and maithunam is that sex. These four are common to humans and also to all animals. So we should not think that our sex life is greater or something like that. Even for an animal, any dog or a cat or rat, the quantum of happiness is the same. So this Muruga is saying, how can you kill animals when they are engaged in intercourse? It is such a time. He doesn't say sacred. It is something which has to be respected. And now he is revealing himself. I am a sage because I am living in the company of so many people. We didn't. There was no time. There was no place. So we came out like this and we are doing like this and you have killed. And now I am going to give you one shapam. What is that? When you meet your wife, then what is he saying? Dvayor nrushamsa kartaram avasham kamamohitam. Yeah, now he is saying, when you have intercourse with your wife, you will also die in the same manner. Death will overtake you. When you get engaged in a sexual act, he doesn't say whether it is wife or anything, but Panduraja is also a good man. He is not a womanizer, he is not a lecher. Apart from his two wives, he doesn't have any other relation. So then death will just vyapatrapan manushyanam mrugyam maithunam acharam. So this sage is saying, when you meet your wife, you are going to die. Then Okay, Priyayasa Samvasam. Yeah. Then what happens then? Then the king is totally shaken. He cannot say anything. That two animals, they do die. We'll just take a break and come back. Let us resume. So the king Panduraja has got a curse from that saint who was in the shape of a deer. And after that, he felt highly repentant. Oh, well, I am born in such a great family. He says, Satam api kule jataha karmana bata durgatim. Satam kule jataha. I am born in such a great clan of Shantanu. Great Shantanu is such a great king. And I am born to that great sage called sage Vyasa. So, born to that great sage, I have done such a stupid thing. Tasyadya vyasane buddhis sanjateyam mamadhama. So, I got addicted to this vyasanam. Vyasanam means this sort of vice, which is hunting. And in that, I did not see what is proper and what is not proper. And now, because this curse is there, so far this Panduraja doesn't have children. So, this is the most important point now. So far, Panduraja does not have children. And he has two wives, he has not got children. Meanwhile, he has got a curse. If he meets his wife, he is going to die. So, now what to do? Now we are coming to an important point. In those days, if a person did not have children, he would not attain heavenly worlds. In fact, this point we got earlier also. I was telling about the three runas, not I, the poet was telling about the three types of runam means a debt, three types of debt with which a person is born. Immediately after birth, a person is having three debts. That is Devaruna, Rushiruna and Pitruruna. Devaruna means there is indebtedness to gods. And we get redeemed from that indebtedness by performing prayers and then by worshipping deities. The deities means various manifestations in nature. All those things we have to respect. For example, I have to respect water, I have to respect air, I should not pollute air, I should not pollute water. So, this is again respecting all those deities. So, Devarunam. Then Rushirunam is, Rishis have given us all this culture. Rishis have given us such a great intellectual tradition. So, we are supposed to preserve that intellectual tradition. So, we are supposed to read the texts and then we are supposed to tell others. So, that is that Rushirunam. And Pitrurunam is, we have to have children. We have to have sons or daughters. Of course, our text says sons only. And nowadays, of course, we have to change it into daughters also. We have to have sons or daughters. So that dharma is perpetuated. The basic idea is dharma is perpetuated. The son particularly they have mentioned because suppose the father gets old and he is not in a position to do his Sandhyavandana, he is not in a position to do his daily prayers. Then the son, he performs them on behalf of the father. So, the son is one person who is performing all the prayers on behalf of his father also. So, that is how the son is going to ensure that the father would go to heaven. So, a father would not attain heavenly worlds if there is no son to him. And similarly, if when a person is not having a son, even the forefathers, they will also fall down to some hellish regions. We saw the story of one person called Jaratkaru. If you remember that name, Jaratkaru, there was a person who didn't marry for a long time, and he was going and he saw some people hanging upside down. If you recall that story, they were just hanging upside down, just holding on to some sort of very loose rope, which was being eaten by a rat, a mouse rather. And that mouse is none other than the time. Time is actually eating away, and these people can fall. So, that story if you recall. So, here also this king Panduraja, he feels very sad. Oh, now I am not going to attain heavenly worlds. Then mokshameva vyavasyami bandhohi vyasanam mahat. Then he says, I will become a sannyasi. I will just renounce and then I will become a sannyasi. Mokshameva vyavasyami. I will follow that path of renunciation. And then Then ativa tapasatmanam yojayishyamya samsayam. I will just take up sannyasa and go. Ekaki, tasmad ekoham ekaki. There are two types of ashramas. That is, one is what is called vanaprastha. We know that there are altogether there are 4 stages in life. That is brahmacharya. That is the way, that is the stage in which a person studies texts. Then grahastha. That is, a person gets married and then performs all the duties of a householder. Then thereafter, after attaining a particular age, becomes a senior citizen, let us say. So he has to give away his wealth and material property to his sons, and then go to what is called, go to the forest, wood, in the sense that he has to retire and then lead a very calm life. So that means he is having some little bit of material for his sustenance, some resources for his sustenance, but then he is spending his time in a study of texts and such things, pursuit of what is called self-knowledge. And the other one also, next level is, even that family he will give up. He will become a sannyasi, he will become a renunciate, and then he will just totally only one person moving around. So that's living by bhikshatanam. Bhikshatanam is living by begging. So that is the highest stage, that is the sannyasi stage. So now Panduraja is saying, Charan Bhaiksham Munir Mundaha. Charan Bhaiksham means I'll live by begging and I will shave my head. Munir Mundaha, that is, Munda means shaven with a shaven head. Charishyam Ashrama Animan. I will just move around and then live by begging. So then I have no other way of going to heavenly worlds. Only by becoming a sannyasi I can attain such heavenly worlds. Then Nirashir Nirnamaskaraha. Sannyasi is one who treats everybody as he sees Brahman, or he sees that divinity in everybody. So he does not expect any blessings from anybody, he does not bow to anybody, he does not bless anybody. Nirashihi Nirnamaskaraha. He doesn't bow to anybody, he doesn't bow to anybody, nor does he bless anybody. Then Nirdvandvaha. Then Nishparigraha means he doesn't accept anything from anybody except some food for the survival of his body. So he will be like that. And Nakurvan Bhrukutim Kvachit, and not getting angry for anything. Bhrukuti means brow. I will never, you see, when you are angry, we knit our brow, what is called with a crooked brow, we say. When we are angry, naturally our brow gets knit. So I will not knit my brow at any time. That means I will never become angry with anybody. So he says like that. And then at that time, these 2 wives, they do advise him, no, you need not become a sannyasi. What will happen to us? We will also come along with you. There is a better way. There is a better way, this lady says. The better way is you become a vanaprastha. Vanaprastha is, you will not move alone, you will be with the family. The difference between vanaprastha and sannyasi is, sannyasi means he gives up the wife also. Vanaprastha is, he and his wife, they spend time in the forest, they leave all the property back, and then they spend time in the forest. So let us live like vanaprasthas. Let us stay in the same forest. They are already in the forest. The king had come for hunting. So we will stay in the forest only. We will not go back to the kingdom. We will just not go back to the kingdom. So then sannyasa is, she says, Kunti particularly says, because Kunti also is a very wise lady. She says, sannyasa is not something which is compulsory for you. We will all follow you, we will all be on that ascetic path, and we will also do tapas, and we will try to attain some heaven. So then Panduraja also agreed for that, and then thereafter they start doing that vanaprastha. They are doing that vanaprasthashram, and the poet describes that Agnau Juhvan Ubhau Kalo. Even when he is a vanaprastha, he has to perform certain rituals like Sandhyavandana, like Agni Karyam, etc., etc. And Chira Charma Jatadharaha. He has to give up all his royal insignia. And of course, here also Panduraja removes all the royal insignia, all the nice clothes, etc., and all the royal insignia and ornaments and all that. And he sends them back to Dhritarashtra. He sends them back to Dhritarashtra, conveys the news that I have become a vanaprasthi. Then Chira Charma Jatadhara. Jata also means they used to apply the milk of that, what is the tree? Banyan tree. The banyan tree, there is a sap. Banyan tree, if you cut the bark, it gives a sap. It is called the milk. We usually call it milk. So let us say sap. So if you put that sap, the hair get matted. So like that, with that matted hair, all the three people, both this lady, the two wives, and also this Panduraja, they live like that. And then again, Pitru Tarpanam, etc., some rituals, etc., they have to do that. And so he sent away all his ornaments and the gold and whatever money, whatever possessions he had. And he also sent back various people who were dependent on him, all that retinue and cooks and whatnot. So they were just living like that, living in the company of various munis in the forest. Of course, there were also some people doing some tapas, etc. So they were staying along with those people. And that is how that went on. Then it so happened that at one time, this Panduraja saw lot many sages who were performing some yajna, etc., in order to attain heaven. So then Panduraja also said, I will also join you. Then he came to know that yes, of course, Panduraja already knows, Panduraja also knows, but again he was reminded, Swargam Gantum Parakrantah. Then again, so he also wanted, when he also wanted to join them, so they said, no, you cannot join. These heavenly worlds, they cannot be attained by people who do not have children. So those who have Siddhascha Paramarshaya, only the heavenly worlds can be attained only by the people who have got redeemed from all these three debts. So here, of course, Panduraja tells about one more debt. Panduraja means Sage Vyasa. Sage Vyasa is describing one more debt. The Vedas, they talk about three types of indebtedness. This Sage Vyasa is giving one more point here. Pitru Devarshi Manujaihi Deyam Tebhyascha Dharmatah. So he is talking about Pitru Runa, Deva Runa, Rushi Runa, and also Manushya Runam. Manushya Runam is probably one new concept which is being introduced by Sage Vyasa. That is, Deva Runa, the other three Runams I explained. That our obligation to gods, our obligations to, say, forefathers, and our obligations to saints. Now, our obligations to fellow humans. What about fellow humans? So, it's a nice thing that Sage Vyasa has introduced. Manushya Runam. This Manushya Runa is something. What is this Manushya Runam? Rushideva, Anrusham Siena Manavan. A person has to be kind, compassionate, and helpful. That is Manushya Runam. How are we going to be redeemed from this Manushya Runam? You have got indebtedness to your fellow human beings. That means we are supposed to be kind, helpful, we are supposed to help them in whatever way we can. So that is what is getting redeemed from Manushya Runam. So this is again an important point which we see. So this Panduraja is saying, he is actually lamenting, oh my dear, oh sages, what can I do? We know that we have got these three Runa, a person is born with all these four Runas, four types of indebtedness. I have redeemed myself from three types of indebtedness. That is, with reference to gods, with reference to saints, and also with reference to the fellow human beings. But with reference to forefathers, I could not, because I don't have children. If I have sons only, I will be redeemed. I don't have. So that is what he is saying. Then these people, he is also asking these people, Yathaivaham pituh kshetre jatastena maharshina tathaivasmin mama kshetre katham vai sambhavet prajaha. He also knows that he was born to Ambalika, of course. Ambalika is the mother. He was born to Sage Vyasa, because by that time Vichitravirya had died. So because of that, they were born to Ambalika. That Sage Vyasa was invited. So like that, like what happened in my case, why can't I have children through my wives or two wives also, through somebody else? So that is what he is asking. So this is a delicate point which we will discuss tomorrow. Harihi Om Tat Sat.